It's exactly 6 p.m. now, Cairo local time. Welcome to Channel 2's English News Bulletin. My name is Angie Meher, and we begin with a look at the headlines. President Abdel-Fattah el-Sisi says Egypt is to host a conference for Gaza's swift recovery, rebuilding and development. UN Chief Antonio Guterres hails Egypt, Qatar, US and Turkey's efforts in mediation to reach a peace deal and end the war in Gaza. Egypt's skies echo with pride as the nation celebrates the 93rd anniversary of its Air Force, a force born for courage. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now the details in full. President Abdel-Fattah el-Sisi said Egypt is to host a conference for Gaza's swift recovery, rebuilding and development. He said the conference builds upon U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza. We have the details in this report.
President Fattah el-Sisi on Monday said Gaza war should be the last war in the Middle East, praising U.S. President Donald Trump for his wise leadership in brokering an end to the conflict that he said has cost humanity too much. President el-Sisi made the remarks while co-chairing the Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit alongside Trump, with participation from 31 countries and international and regional organizations to mark the signing of the agreement to end the Israeli war on Gaza Strip. During his address, President Sisi thanked Egypt's partners, the United States, Turkey and Qatar, for their sincere efforts in reaching the agreement, reaffirming Cairo's commitment to supporting and monitoring its implementation. The President spoke shortly after signing a historic joint document in Sharm el-Sheikh with Trump, Turkish President, Qatari Emir, to officially end the war in Gaza. President Sisi said he hoped the agreement would pave the way towards a political path leading to a two-state solution, the only way, he said, to fulfill legitimate aspirations of both the Palestinian and the Israeli peoples to end the conflict and live in security. President Sisi told President Trump, "You have proven that true leadership lies not in waging wars, but in having the ability to end them. We are confident in your leadership to implement the current agreement and carry out your plan in all its phases." During his speech, the President described the current moment as a historic turning point. He said the deal represents a new dawn of hope that could close a painful chapter in human history and open the door to a new era of peace and stability in the Middle East, offering a better tomorrow for the region's war-weary nations. President Sisi said, "Today we welcome courageous, peace-loving leadership whose efforts have helped end conflict and bring security and development not only to our region but to the entire world." He recalled Egypt's historic role in launching the Middle East peace process nearly half a century ago, when the late President Mohammed Anwar al-Sadat made his groundbreaking visit to Jerusalem in November 1977, a bold step that gave future generations a chance for life and proved that true security cannot be achieved by military power alone. Sisi reaffirmed that peace remains Egypt's and the Arab and Islamic nations' strategic choice, stressing that this choice can only be built on justice and equality in rights. From that perspective, he said, Palestinian people have the same right as all others to self-determination, freedom, and a future free from war, to live in their own independent state side by side with Israel in peace, security, and mutual recognition. He continued that peace is not created by governments alone, but built by peoples when they realize that the enemies of yesterday can become partners of tomorrow. The Egyptian president also commended Trump's commitment to restoring life in Gaza, emphasizing that Egypt, in coordination with the U.S. and international partners, will soon begin laying the joint foundations for reconstruction of Gaza Strip without delay.
Within the framework of following up on the National Fields projects, the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, inspects the testing and trial operation stages of the Egypt-Saudi Arabia electrical interconnection station in Badr City. Madbouli was accompanied by engineer Mahmoud Asmat, Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy, as well as senior officials. He stressed that his visit aims to follow up the final steps of testing the station, which represents a major pillar of the electricity interconnection between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Prime Minister praised the implementation, companies and Egyptian workers, highlighting the need to train youth in technical skills for similar future projects. The Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Aati received a phone call from his Lebanese counterpart, Youssef Raji. The call tackled means of enhancing bilateral relations and latest developments in the Palestinian issue, as well as the outcomes of the Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit. Ministers also stressed their keenness to continue coordination and ongoing consultations between the two countries to promote ways for cooperation in various fields. The United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres hailed Egypt, Qatar, the US and Turkey's efforts in mediation to reach a peace deal and end the war in Gaza. He also welcomed Monday's release of the remaining living Israeli hostages in Gaza and urged all sides to build on the momentum and end the nightmare in the Palestinian territory. He added that he reiterates the call for the release of all the remains of the deceased hostages. The International Committee of the Red Cross said on Tuesday that it will take time to hand over the remains of hostages and detainees killed in the war, calling it a massive challenge given the difficulties of finding bodies amongst and amidst Gaza's rubble. Hamas freed the last living Israeli hostages from Gaza Monday under a ceasefire deal, and Israel sent home busloads of Palestinian detainees as US President Donald Trump declared an end to the two-year war. Israel's military said on Tuesday it opened fire to remove a threat posed by suspects who approached its forces in the northern Gaza Strip, and health authorities in the enclave said at least 6 Palestinians had been killed by Israeli fire. The military alleged the suspects had crossed the boundary for initial Israeli pullback under a US-brokered ceasefire plan in violation of a deal. Gaza's local health authorities said the United Nations and the International Committee for the Red Cross called on Tuesday for all crossings into Gaza to be opened in order to allow desperately needed aid into the war-torn Palestinian territory. The Red Cross spokesperson, Christian Cardon, said in Geneva that that's what humanitarians, including the ICRC, have been calling for in the last hours. Make sure that all entry points can be open and accessible because of the huge needs. The UN Humanitarian Agency spokesperson added they need all of the ports to be open. And back home, Egypt's sky echoes with pride as the nation celebrates the 93rd anniversary of its Air Force, a force born of courage, shaped by sacrifice and crowned by one of history's most remarkable aerial victories, the Battle of Mansoura. We have the details.
Amid the nationwide celebrations marking the 52nd anniversary of the October War victory, Egypt's Air Force commemorates its anniversary, a date forever tied to the Battle of Mansoura on October 14, 1973, a day that etched Egypt's name in the odds and superior enemy numbers. Egypt's airmen stood their ground, downing dozens of enemy aircraft and forcing their retreat. General Amr Abdurrahman Sakr, the Air Force commander, reaffirmed that today's airmen continue to carry the legacy of their forefathers, safeguarding Egypt's skies, maintaining full air control across all strategic directions. In his address, he paid tribute to the martyrs and veterans who laid the foundations of strength, saying, "We will never forget our heroes, and we remain true to their principles, to soar ever higher in pursuit of glory." 93 years of pride, power, and patriotism. The Egyptian Air Force continues to rise, guarding the nation's skies with the same unwavering spirit that won all their battles over al-Mansoura half a century ago.
Now moving to some business news, Egypt's stock market indices collectively surged at the end of dealings on Tuesday, boosted by purchase operations from foreign and local investors. The benchmark EGX 30 index closed without significant change at 37,378 points. The EGX 70 equal-weighted index for small and medium shares and the broader EGX 100 rose by 0.09% and 0.6% respectively. The market's capital for shares of companies in the stocks reached 14 billion Egyptian pounds. Japanese markets had their own problems with the ascension of the new LDP leader, Takaichi, to the prime minister now in doubt, contributing to a sharp rebound in the yen and a 5% dive in the Nikkei futures in the weekend. Japan's Nikkei was closed on Monday, whilst MSCI, broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan, tumbled 1.5%. In currency trading, the US dollar fell 152.13 from 152.29 yen. The euro cost 1.1581, up from 1.1569 US dollars. And Brent crude fell 2.1% to $63 a barrel after an OPEC report showed that world oil supply is expected to closely match demand next year, a contrast from last month's outlook, which projected a shortfall. West Texas Intermediate was down 1.5% at $58.61 a barrel. Brent North Sea crude was down 1.5% at $62.37 a barrel. As negotiations between Washington and Beijing intensified, the two nations were charging port fees on ocean shipping firms that move goods ranging from toys to crude oil. And finally, with the exciting world of sports, Lionel Messi has rejoined the Argentina squad and could feature in Tuesday's friendly against Puerto Rico, according to Coach Scaloni, who said after the forwards skipped their 1-0 victory over Venezuela to play for Inter Miami at the weekend. Messi scored twice in Inter Miami's 4-0 victory over Atlanta United in Major League Soccer, and Scaloni said he would speak to the 38-year-old about his fitness before deciding if he plays against Puerto Rico. The match will take place at the Inter Miami home venue, Chase Stadium, in Florida, after being moved from Chicago due to security and logistical concerns. And with that, we wrap up the evening's English News Bulletin here on Channel 2. You were in the company of myself, Angie Meher. Thank you for watching.